Yep. So all the millions of minions bringing the knowledge of the third eye. Thank you. We have various measures of knowledge coming from the right hemispheres. We have a lot of knowledge coming from the left hemispheres, building on change and transformation. Something that he mentioned, we got a lot of nanos and chemicals coming into the food. But how do we clear that food? How do we neutralize what happened to the ionic boards wrapping that copper around the bars and electrifying that and magnifying that to clear out the food particles as it comes into our environment, our space, as we get it from the shopkeepers. How do we clear it once it's in our homes? How do we remove the salts, the sulfites? How do we alchemize and process the processed food? How do we clear it? Ionic, emitters. How do we use the light and the light spectrums to regenerate the food particles that are processed? How do we combat that? And how do we add the molecules, the proteins back into our alchemy, our body? How do we neutralize the sorcery that's being injected on us? How do we block out? Do we wrap our craniums with those metal domes to block out the things that are being emitted by these devices? How do we neutralize ourselves? Not only the sounds and the information that we're getting, but how do we filter it? How do we allow what's coming into our cerebellum? How do we neutralize that? Here I am sitting in my room, my chamber, that's been crafted for me, grafted by the mechanics of the individuals that own it. How do we neutralize the spirits that were here before? What processes do we use to cleanse the area of our environments? And then when we get into the new era and establish the people into these new eras that can give us the things that we need so that we can move forward. We have educational platforms that are being established. But are you taking the leadership role in your environment to help filter out or siphon out those things that are coming into the minds? I use some of the ancient language, sometimes the Semitic languages, to introduce or make us aware how what was before and what is now. Understanding that we can be the controllers of our own chemical makeup, our bodies, and that we can filter and energize our own esperata, our own spirits, so that the psychic influences, and how do we use the color spectrums, not only the ones that are being projected through the electricity, but the ones within our own environment. How do we reprogram ourselves and stabilize our own frequencies? They say that the 7.53 spectrum of the human energy, the megahertz, but we can spectralize that megahertz from a 7.43 into a 8 number infinity. How do we raise the bar within our own electric makeup and spectralize the wave patterns? The resources are out there. We can't just focus on the green. We need to focus on the flow. I'm sharing this information with you to let you know that the invisible is still amongst, and bringing that invisible, that logos, or that creative force to help us energize ourselves in the ways that can lead us into greater. And as we see what is happening in the etheric, in the ether, out in the astral world, and aligning ourselves with the interstellar bodies, and focusing the energy of the interstellar bodies, the rays of the sun, the rays of the moon, and the energy of the earth. Letting you know that I'm still here, still generating the logos, that creative force from the first principle of myself, and bringing those wave patterns into these digital platforms. I'm gonna end it at the 9-4 so that we can establish our 10, our kingdoms, not only within ourselves, but within our minds. Peace.